Hey guys, this is Anthony Morganti. I am MrPhotographer.com. In this video, I'm going to cover 5 Lightroom tips you wish you knew yesterday. Tip number 1, reset. Probably know that if you're processing an image and you just want to start over, in the Develop module on the right-hand panel towards the bottom is a Reset button. If you click on that, it'll reset everything and you could start over. But did you know that in Lightroom, there are what I like to call micro resets available? For example, I have this image here and I did some processing on it. You can see in the Basic tab, I have most of the sliders moved. And you probably know this too. If you want to reset a single slider back to its default position, just double click on the name of the slider. So right now highlights is at -100. If I want to reset that, double click on the name highlights and I'll reset that single slider. Well, did you know that you could reset just a little bit more? For example, you'll notice that the Basic tab is divided up into several sections, and there's this Tone section and Presence section. Let's say I just want to reset the 6 sliders in the Tone section and nothing else. Hold the Alt or Option key. Alt if you have a PC, Option if you have a Mac. When you hold that in, you'll notice it becomes Reset Tone. Just single click on that and you'll reset those 6 sliders and nothing else. You'll notice Presence didn't get reset. If I hold that Alt or Option key in, you'll notice it says Reset Presence. I could single click there and reset that section, but there's an even better way. If you're too busy to hold in the Alt or Option key, just double click on the names of the subsections. So Presence, just double click on that and you'll reset Presence. And to better explain or to demo that, let's go back to Tone and just move all 6 sliders somewhere. If I want to reset just those 6 sliders, double click on the name Tone. And I reset all 6 of those sliders. Similarly, you could go through and look at the other tabs like HSL Color. If I hold in the Alt or Option key, you'll notice it says Reset Saturation. If I'm in the Luminance section, it says Reset Luminance. Again, I don't have to hold the Alt or Option key, though, to reset that. I could just double click on the name Luminance, and it will reset all those sliders in that Luminance section. Similarly, if you're in the All layout, or if you're in the Color section, hold in the Alt or Option key, you could see what could be reset there. And just go through the tabs and see what can be reset by holding in the Alt or Option key or just double clicking on the name. And that's one way you could reset parts of the image, but not the entire image. Tip number 2, clipping indicators. I believe clipping indicators are an underutilized feature of Lightroom. For those of you not familiar with clipping indicators, if you're in the Develop module, open up the histogram, and you notice at the far left of the histogram towards the top is a little triangle. If I hover over that, you'll notice part of my image will have a blue overlay applied to it. That's indicating to me that I'm clipping the shadows. And what it means to clip the shadows, it means that there's not going to be any detail in that section at all. It's absolute black. Conversely, if I move the cursor over to the right arrow, you'll notice a red overlay appears on the image. That is indicating to me that I'm clipping the highlights. That means that there's no detail at all in that area. Usually, we don't want to clip too much of the image. We don't want too much of it to be absolute black, and we don't want too much of it to be absolute white. We'd like it more balanced. Not always, but most often. So you could use these clipping indicators to help you know which parts of the image are clipping either black or clipping white. Another way to put it is they often say you're crushing the blacks and you're blowing out the highlights. Now, a quicker way to utilize these clipping indicators is to hold the J key in. If you hold the J key in, you'll see that they're on simultaneously. Then what you could do while you hold that J key in is take the shadow slider in this case and I'll move it to the right, and you'll see I'll start to get rid of some of that blue clipping indicator. And similarly, I could go to the whites slider and move that to the left to get rid of some of that red clipping indicator. So you could use this to get a more balanced process to your image. Yeah, some people do like to clip a little bit. I personally like to clip the shadows a little bit. So I would, in this case, hold the J key in and go to the blacks and move that to the left till I get a little blue in there. I like to clip the shadows a little bit. I think it gives my images a little more tonal depth. But everyone's different, and you could utilize these clipping indicators to visually show you what is clipping, and then you could adjust the image to your taste. Now, if you happen to have the clipping indicator stuck on, because that happens quite often, just hit the J key a couple times. Like right now I hit the J key and I have the shadows showing there. Hit the J key until everything clears, the red and the blue clear, and then you should be good to go. Tip number 3, presets. The next thing I want to talk to you are presets. Not develop presets though, brush presets. Now in a previous video I talked about brush presets, but did you know you could create your own? For example, I have this image here. I have the brush tool open. I could go to where it says effect, and to the right of that there's a little drop down. And you'll notice there's all these different brush presets. And there's one for soften skin. So if I click on that, it will move the sliders in a very specific way so I could soften her skin. So let's just do that real quick. All right, very quickly. I'm not going to do it very well, but I'm going to do it quickly. So I come through here with this brush preset that is inside of Lightroom, and I've softened her skin. Well, you know what? That really looks horrid, doesn't it? It's really too strong for my taste. Well, I could create my own preset. So why don't I just come in here? I think clarity at -100 is too much. So I'm going to move that to the right. I'm going to add a little more saturation, and I'm going to add a little more sharpness. So this, I think, looks more natural. Well, I could come in here and go to the skin preset that's inside of Lightroom, brush it in, and then manually change the sliders every single time. Or I could create my own brush preset. So once I have it edited the way I want it, go to the drop down again, click on it, and go down to the bottom where it says Save Current Settings as New Preset. Click on that and give it a name. I'm going to call it My Skin Softening. And then click Create. Now, I'm just going to reset this. As a matter of fact, I'm going to delete this brush totally. So I'm just going to hit the delete key so the brush is gone. Now, let's say, we start over, all right? We're going to reset. We're back. We reset these sliders. I could then go to this drop down. And if I go down towards the bottom, look, My Skin Softening. The sliders are in the position I had them. And I could come in and then use my brush preset, which I think, for doing it very quickly, is better than the Lightroom brush preset. I think it looks a little more natural. So you could do that with any type of brush you want to create. Just come in here, dial in the settings you want, then click on the drop down and save current settings as new preset, and you'll be good to go. I think that too is an underutilized function of Lightroom. That is creating your own brushes. Tip number 4. Crop overlays. The next thing I want to talk to you about are crop overlays. You probably know if you open the crop tool, you'll have the rule of thirds overlay on your image that helps you crop your image to that compositional rule. Did you know that there's more overlays available than just the rule of thirds? Hit the O key on your keyboard, O for overlay. If I hit it once, I'll go into this diagonal overlay. If I hit it again, I have this, what they call the triangle overlay. If I hit it again, it's the golden ratio overlay. It's similar to rule of thirds, but as you could see, it's slightly different. If I hit the O key again, I have the golden spiral. If I hit the O key again, I'll have this aspect ratio overlay. If I hit the O key again, I'll have this grid overlay. And then if I hit the O key again, I'll be back to the rule of thirds. Now, some of these overlays you could flip around, the ones that aren't symmetrical. For example, if I go to this triangle overlay, if I hold the Shift key in, then hit the O key, you'll notice it will shift to the other diagonal. And then if I hold the Shift key in again and hit the O key, it will shift back. Similarly, I could go to the golden spiral overlay, hold the Shift key in and hit the O key, and I could move that from corner to corner. So that's very interesting, right? So you could really pick the overlay you want, and then if the overlay isn't a symmetrical overlay, you could flip it around so it fits your image. Well, there's a little bit more to this. Let's say that you don't use all these overlays. For example, this is the aspect ratio overlay. Well, right now it's vertical. If I hold the Shift key in and hit the O key, I could put it horizontal, right? But let's say I just don't use this overlay ever. And why should I keep cycling through it when I hit the O key? Well, you could get rid of it. To do that, go to the top Tools menu, then down to Crop Guide Overlay, then choose Overlays to Cycle. And you notice that all of those overlays are listed, and I don't use aspect ratios, right? So just remove the check mark from that. Then click OK. Now, it's still there now, but now when I hit the O key, I'll go to the grid, then I went to the rule of thirds, then the diagonal, then the triangle, then the golden ratio, then the golden spiral. Now next is aspect ratios, right? I hit the O key, it's not there. It skipped it, went right to grid. So you could change this so just the overlays you use get cycled, and it will save you a little time. So crop overlays, a lot of people don't even know they're here. And a lot of people don't know that you could choose which ones get shown to you as you hit the O key. By the way, if you wanted to bring the aspect ratios back, you would just go back up to the tools, down to Crop Guide Overlay, back to choose Overlays to Cycle, and put that check mark back. Click OK, and then hit the O key until you have your aspect ratio overlay displayed. Tip number 5, the toolbar. For this last tip, I want to talk about the toolbar. Those of you not familiar, the toolbar is this little strip of real estate that is directly below the image. You could turn that toolbar off and on by hitting the T key on your keyboard, T for toolbar. Hit it once, the toolbar disappears. Hit it again, it reappears. You also could specify what is shown in the toolbar. If you go over to the far right of the toolbar, you'll notice there's this little down-facing triangle. If I click on that, you'll notice that there's different things indicated there with check marks. Let's say, for example, I never ever use soft proofing, ever. So I could go down here, and where it says soft proofing, I just click on that to remove the check mark. Now soft proofing is gone. I could click on that, and let's say I never use flagging. Click on that, flagging's gone. So you could come in here and you could change or remove just about anything and everything from the toolbar. And I'll just go through and move grid overlay. Now all we have are view modes left, and I remove those. So there's even nothing left. So let's say I use view modes, and I use rating. And let's say I use flagging too. We'll add that. And let's say that's all I use. So I could really declutter the toolbar. Just go to this downward facing triangle. Now you could do this customization of the toolbar in the library module, the develop module, and the map module. The other modules, the toolbar will be there, but there's set functions there that you can't turn off or on. So a little tip about the toolbar. Something you could probably use it to streamline your workflow by having exactly what you need on the toolbar. Thank you everyone for watching my videos. I truly do appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys soon.